See how I hope you all enjoying this long story. Okay, let's go on to the story. My name is Dunn, and my wife's name is Carla. We have been married for 8.5 years and have an 8-year-old son, Steve, and a 4-year-old daughter, Lori. Carla was pregnant when we got married, and Steve arrived 6 months after the wedding. None of our friends or family really cared that much about the fact that we had to get married, except for Carla's mother and father. They were, of course, very disappointed in their daughter, but made sure that everyone knew the real blame was mine. I was the that got her pregnant, and I'm the lowlife who destroyed all of her opportunities. I have never measured up to the man they wanted to marry their daughter, and I never would. They think she had to settle for me. It made me feel awful. Of course I did do exactly what they say I did. I did convince her, and I did take her virginity. That is all true as far as I am concerned. Her parents can just stuff it with all that blame talk. I love their daughter more than they could hope for from any man, and she knows it. But her mother and father will never realize that they cannot get past her getting pregnant. Nothing I have done or ever could do will bring them around. I will be the bad guy until they die. Carla and I met when she was a senior in high school in Chicago Heights, and I was in my second year of college at the University of Illinois at Champaign. I knew she was the one for me the moment I met her. We became a couple very soon into a relationship and just seemed to connect. I took her virginity about 1 month after we started going together, and we would make love almost every time we got together after that. Once Carla graduated from high school, she lived at home with her mother and father and worked at a Chase Manhattan bank as a teller. I saw her almost every weekend, either in Chicago Heights or in Oakland, where my parents lived. I had 1 year to go in college when I found out she was 2 months pregnant. We planned the wedding for as soon as possible, got married in November. And as I said, Steve arrived 6 months later in May. I got my degree 2 weeks after Steve was born and took a job in airport security at O'Hare Airport. Carla had continued to live with her mother and father until I graduated and got my job. We had our apartment all set in Des Plaines and moved in the weekend after I graduated. It was wonderful to finally be together as a family for the next 8 years. Things were wonderful. The jobs got better. We bought a house. Steve was growing like a weed. Our marital life was great. Lori came along and both of the kids grew like weeds. We were happy. There were more promotions, more money, and more happiness. But I suppose I should get on with the reason I am writing this story. All that happiness was going to change. In fact, I went through a number of very unhappy months in my life. My wife and I had been having a little bit of a battle about who is keeping home from getting enough sleep. I tell her that she snores and wakes me up, and she says the same thing about me. She will not believe that she snores at all, but she has the most unnerving squeaky little snore that never fails to wake me up. And once that happens, I listen to her squeak for an hour before she stops and I can go back to sleep. I know I probably do snore because I catch myself doing it once in a while, and I suppose she does lose sleep too, but it is this bad guy thing all over again. It frustrates me that she thinks it is only my fault. It just rubs me the wrong way. I take enough of that shit from her parents that I don't feel I should have to take it from her too. To help solve the problem, I brought home a voice-activated recorder from work and set it up on the nightstand next to her bed. I laughed and told Carla that we would just see who snores and who doesn't. The next morning we both woke up at the same time, and after a good morning kiss, we were watching the tape and listened. Sure enough, there was my chainsaw snoring as loud as you please, and she pointed a finger at me and said, "See what I have to put up with?" Of course, it didn't take too long before you could distinctly hear the squeak, squeak of her snoring too, in the lulls between my chainsaw. Carla gasped and looked at me with such a shocked look that I just had to laugh. She said, "My gosh, I am awful." With that, we both burst out laughing and she said, "Honey, we both have to work on this so we don't drive each other out of the bedroom." I agreed. "Yes, you certainly do need to work on that squeak." I was just glad to not be the bad guy all by myself again. She whacked me on the arm and said, "Honey, I am sorry I laid all the blame on you. I can see now that we are equally guilty." I pulled her to me, and we had a very warm and loving kiss, hugging. Of course, I copped a number of rather intimate feels, but she didn't complain. By the time that we finished, the kids were both awake and we both ended up being late for work. Update: do you all know what happened next? Let's see an update. The recorder was forgotten a couple of days go by. She asks me to come home early to stay with the kids because she has a meeting at the bank. I noticed the recorder. I grin to myself about my proof that she snores. I just have to hear it again. So I rewind and play the tape. I listen to us the next morning and get all turned on listening to us make love. I heard, next. She betrayed me in our marital bed. She played another man in our bed. Not much else to say. As soon as I knew what was on the tape, I called our neighbor Judy and asked her if she would mind watching the kids for a while. Because I had a big work project I needed to concentrate on. She had nothing going on, so she said she would be happy to do that for me. I walked them over and told them to be good for Judy, and then I would come get them when I had dinner ready. They were more than happy to stay by Judy and play with her two kids who were almost identical in age. When I got back upstairs in the bedroom, I resumed listening to the tape. My God, Steve, it has been too long again since you played me. I have missed that so much these last couple of months. Well, never fear, my sweet. I am going to play you this afternoon. Well, I really want you to get me pregnant again today, Dawn. And I won't have another baby. I would sure like all three of my babies to have the same daddy. Hasn't Dawn ever been suspicious about us? Doesn't he ever question why the kids don't look at all like him? Is he stupid or what? Don't say that about Dawn. He is not stupid. I have never given him any reason to believe that I wasn't faithful to him. He laughed. Well, I still don't understand how you could slip the kids past him. Fortunately, Steve, JR, and Lori both look exactly like me, so there is no reason he would be suspicious about that. I heard her laugh at that, Steve, JR. Crack, and it just broke my heart. Well, maybe today I will give you a kid that looks like me and blow your cover. Then he will divorce you and you can marry me. Stop talking about all this, Steve. I love Don very much and don't want to see him hurt. What you and I have is just pure hot play, and I love it. But that is all there ever will be between us. The rest of the tape was, as you would expect. There were all the grunts, groans, moaning, and exclamations of a man and woman in the throes of sexual passion. I don't have to describe it to you. And what it is too painful for me to even think of it anymore. I listened to the whole thing. My whole marriage was a lie. The love, trust, and closeness I thought we had were non-existent. There was no love or fidelity on her part. How could she love me and do what she had been doing? She couldn't. How could she have given 100% of herself to our marriage? I felt when I heard all there was to hear on that tape, I was hurt to my core. I was physically ill. I could hear my heartbeat, and I prayed it would keep going. I was disgusted. I was emasculated. I was terrified. I was livid. I can't go on. There are just too many words to describe. What I was devastated comes to mind. Also, yes, I was devastated. That word seems to say most of it. I was not a stupid man, so I knew that I would have to figure out what I was going to do, what would become of